get all the youth to come forward. Do we have anyone in the nursery? Do we know? No? No nursery today. Okay. Good morning. How are you guys today? Good. Well, I'm going to ask you something. I'm going to set a stage here. Let's say, I know you guys are all out of school for the summer, so I can't really use school as an example, but in your neighborhood at home, let's say there was this really big kid, and you're almost there, but not quite yet. Maybe it's a big high school kid, okay, and he's just this great big kid, and he's bullying all the kids in the neighborhood. Whenever they ride by on their bikes or their scooters, he knocks them off and he takes their bike or their scooter. He's always threatening them and telling them to go away and get out of there. Like if they're in the playground in the neighborhood, he pushes them off the swing or the sliding board or something like that, right? But it's decided that one of you, even though you're younger and smaller, you are the right person to go and tell this bully and make him stop, no matter what it takes. Anything you need to do, you can do, and you've been guaranteed that you will be given whatever you need to do it. Would anybody want to do that? Would you think you could do that? Would you think you could do it? How come? Okay, you get a doll. Okay, yeah. Okay. Okay. Sure. And what about, did you have an idea? No? You're not sure? Okay. Well, so if that is you, then you're kind of like somebody else we've heard about before. You guys ever heard the story of David and Goliath? Yeah. So David, young boy, he had already been anointed though. Samuel had already come and told him, you've been chosen to be the king of Israel. And he actually was working for the current king. He was helping out. But he had this power. God had assured him, whatever you need, to protect our people, to protect my word, to represent us, you will have. So he, as a young boy, went out, and Goliath, if you guys, you've probably heard, right? He's like 10 feet tall. If you can think of a basketball goal, that's how tall he was, right? So, but David had the confidence and the faith that God would give him what he needed to defeat him, and he did. So then you guys are kind of like David. If you think you could do that, that's great. So in the gospel today, we had a couple other examples. So I'm just going to talk about faith, okay? And that's kind of one of those hard concepts, kind of like last week when we had the Trinity, all right? Faith is one of those things but today in the gospel, there were a couple examples, and they kind of intermixed. The first one was this person, this leader of the Jewish faith, the synagogue. He was actually one of the people who later on in the story actually are responsible for Jesus being taken, crucified, tried and crucified. He was part of that group, but he had heard what Jesus was doing, and his daughter had died, and he came to talk to him and ask him to come help. So as Jesus was on the way, though, there's a lot of people there, as we talked about. Remember, this is like Passover, the celebration, so a lot of people in Jerusalem. So there's a crowd of people, and Jesus is walking through them, and he's got to be bumping into people everywhere he goes, right? It's not like he's got like a path, right? And then this woman who's been sick for 12 years has also heard of these miracles and happens to see him and tells herself, if I could just touch the very edge of his cloak, right, just barely touch it, that would make me well. And she does, and Jesus notices that. How can he notice that with all those people around? That's, hundreds of people. But he feels that, and he turns around and he tells her, because you have faith, you will be well. And immediately she was well. Okay, so then he continues on to the house of the Jewish leader who'd come, and he gets there, and again, all these people are outside. They actually, at that time, they hired people when someone died. They hired people to come and cry and mourn for them. Well, there are all these people there, and he tells them, what are you all doing? Get out of here. The girl's not dead. And they all laugh at him. But again, he goes in and proves, this Jewish leader, he proves that his faith in him was justified, because all he does is take the girl by the hand, and she gets up and she's alive. So I guess the reason, and I wanted to talk about that, is that faith, it's one of those things we always have the things we need. We just have to believe it, right? So God has told us, I will give you what you need to go out and live your life and represent me. And sometimes it's harder and sometimes it's easier. It's just, it's those examples there, that's just things we have to, that's a promise given to us that we can believe in. I just wanted to, that's kind of what faith is. Those are a couple of really dramatic examples, right? Those were pretty dramatic, but we have that same promise too, right? God promises to provide what we need as we try to live our lives to show other God's love, okay? So just kind of keep that in mind, okay? Will you guys pray with me? And repeat after me, okay? Dear God, Thank you for loving us. Help us to have faith that you will give us what we need to live lives that show others your love for them. Amen. All right.